Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin was more than an hour late to meet with those White House negotiators. When he was meant to be meeting with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner at the Kremlin, Mr. Putin was actually several miles away giving a keynote speech at the annual VTB Investment Forum. In that address, he praised Russia's economy and its drop in inflation. Listen.
The reduction in inflation has been a significant achievement this year. While inflation was estimated at double-digit rates in March, it is now below 7% year on year. It is expected to be around 6% by the end of December. It means it will be below government and central bank forecasts.
VTB is the second largest bank in Russia. Andrei Kostin is the CEO of VTB and one of the country's top bankers, and he joins us now from Moscow, just fresh from that investment forum, and I thank you for being with us. I have to ask you right off the bat, how crucial is a peace deal to the Russian economy, an economy that, according to President Macron, will begin to feel the pain more and more as the months wear on here? I mean, Macron calls, the heightened European sanctions, along with new U.S. sanctions, he calls them a game changer for your economy.
Good afternoon, Paula, or rather good night from Moscow. Yes, of course, the geopolitics has a big effect on the Russian economy, but surprisingly, Russian economy is doing quite well, taking into account, of course, 30,000 sanctions and increased military spending. Of course, I don't see anything good in sanctions. Some people say, oh, it's good sanctions. We started to think about this and that. We started to produce that. But, of course, sanctions is completely illegal measures. They are outside any international legal framework. But somehow the economy is coping with these problems, as you just mentioned that Mr. Putin said about inflation, about low unemployment and other things. So, but on the other hand, at the moment what we have is what we call the controlled cooling of the economy. There's a slow economic growth this year, probably less than 1%, but with very low unemployment, with a substantial increase actually in real income. But sanctions are having a bad effect, and the new sanctions introduced already by Trump administration probably would also have a negative effect with because of the probably higher discount of the Russian oil.
Now, having said that, the Russian central bank itself, and I'm quoting them now, say that geopolitical tensions remain a significant uncertainty factor in the next year. They certainly are looking at some of the pitfalls of what's to come. And I am wondering, have you spoken to President Putin about the fragility of the Russian economy and the fact that CEOs like you need more foreign investment opportunities? Is a peace deal sooner rather than later really crucial at this point, even for Russia? I mean, how much longer can the Russian economy withstand this sanctions regime?
Well, I think quite long, because this kind of war that is requires probably less people, require less money, because it's kind of the new war. You don't have a thousand of tanks or thousand of aircraft fighting. It's some kind of, we call it a special military operation rather than war, and probably it's justified, this kind of wording. But I think Mr. Putin understands quite well the problems, and we are all trying to do our best, of course, to cope with the economic problems. But frankly speaking, if you come to Moscow and you walk on the street, not only Moscow, you don't see much of the war here. People living a normal life. Restaurants are working. Theaters are
certainly,
working.
Mr. Kostin, in the large cities, in the large cities, I know that is happening. That's not true in some of the regions in Russia for sure, and many of them are suffering quite a bit economically and otherwise because of the conditions right now. I do want to ask you, though, given what's on the table right now for Russia, I am curious, do you know Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner personally? Have you ever discussed investment opportunities with either of them or their representatives? I mean, President Trump has spoken about wanting to jumpstart U.S. investment with Russia.
Yeah, I mean, First of all, we don't know much about what's on the table, because there were only leakages about these American plans, but there were never any, details published officially, whatever. We know some comments of Mr. Putin, who said that the original plan actually was probably a good basement for the Turks, but after discussions with Ukrainians and with Europeans, we don't know what's on the table. But yes, I mean, there is a big room for cooperation, though I should tell that the trade relationship, economic relationship between Russia and probably the United States were not too big, with exception probably of the financial markets, because about 60% of the foreign investors in financial markets were Americans. And we had extremely good relationship with American banks. All the investment banks worked very hard on the Russian territory, I would say, and did a lot of transactions. So of course there's room for cooperation. You also, in the beginning mentioned about these minerals, Arctic and so on and so forth. Space, of course, nuclear issues and many others. We'd like to see more relationship with America. And of course, it's a great economic nation, and Russia is very much interested. Russia doesn't want a war. Russia definitely wants to have a peace with America and with the rest of the world.
On the issue of Mr. Witkoff and Mr. Kushner, they are prolific deal makers. Do you know them? Have you met with their representatives? Have you discussed investments with them?
Well, I think Mr. Witkoff has quite a high reputation here in Russia, and we strongly believe that he definitely represents the opinion and position of Mr. Trump, and we very strongly believe that Mr. Trump is quite sincere in trying to resolve this issue, just as he managed to resolve the issue in Gaza region. So we very much hope that tonight discussions will bring some positive results. Unfortunately, there is no yet any information, but we are looking forward that as soon as it finishes, there will be some statement.
But you have had dealings with Mr. Witkoff then? You have spoken to him?
Pardon?
You have spoken to Mr. Witkoff then?
Pardon?
You have had dealings with Mr. Witkoff?
No, I didn't know. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know Mr. Witkoff myself.
Okay.
No.
Just to put a button on that. I do want to ask you, and it is significant given what you're trying to do for the Russian economy. You're not only under sanction in the United States, you're actually under indictment. And according to the Department of Justice release on you, they've accused you of flouting U.S. sanctions to support, in their words, your exceptionally lavish lifestyle through complex schemes, they say, involving shell companies and illicit transactions, and that includes money laundering. Under these circumstances, and listen to the question carefully here, even with a peace deal, do you expect Russia and sanctioned individuals like yourself to be able to snap back right where you were before, to return to international finance and investment? Do you believe that should be a condition of any peace deal?
It's not so important for me, frankly speaking. I was living under American sanctions since 2018. I think it's just a politics. It has nothing to do with me. I have a very friendly relationship with all probably major bankers in America. They know me quite well as a reliable partner. So I don't very much care about this. And unfortunately, I think that will not happen very quickly. I think what's happened, the attitude of the America and administration, previous administration particularly, and Europeans toward the Russian business in general, when all the assets were arrested, when all property were arrested, it showed that it will not go on like this. I think that we will more focusing on the countries like China, India, and Arab countries in our future international cooperation rather than the West, because we don't trust West very much now. We don't trust.
Regardless, you believe Russia will be turning away from the West in the years to come, and I hear you. You don't believe there'll be a snapback very quickly at all, if ever. I do want to ask you on something that you have commented on already. You say Russia will retaliate if the EU uses foreign Russian assets for a loan or just give it to them, Ukraine. Those Russian assets will be handed over to Ukraine. You say Russia should retaliate, will retaliate. How? What advice would you give President Putin on that?
Retaliate in what? What sense? Sorry,
if the EU seizes the assets the Russian assets, if the EU seizes them, how do you believe
Yes.
Russia should retaliate?
That's robbery. That's robbery. That's robbery. Our assets were, for example, arrested in Germany. Our bank was arrested in Germany, and the money spent now. We will never get them back. I'm sure. Even if sanctions, eliminated. So basically, there's no any legal really reason to arrest assets, to take them away. If the West is just trying now, Europeans trying just to take the sovereign money of Russian central bank and to spend them on war, that is unprecedented in the history. It never happened before, and we think it's just a robbery, nothing else. So there could be no justification, and in spite of the fact that Europeans are trying to find any legal way to do it, they still cannot do it.
Mr. Kostin, we'll have to leave it there, but we really do appreciate your time, especially at this late hour in Moscow, as we wait to see what comes out of this meeting between the U.S. negotiators and President Putin. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Let's hope for the best. Thank you very much. Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.